I know that if I show my true colors, if I really show them who I am, they're going to leave. They're not going to accept me. They're not going to love me fully. And so I will continue to hide.
Elevate with Monique. Elevate. Elevate with Monique.
Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Gracefully Elevating with Monique. And of course, I am your hostess, Monique. And I'm so very excited that you have decided to share just a few minutes with the channel. Now, if you are new to this channel, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. If you've never heard anything about Elect Elevation or this channel, Gracefully Elevating with Monique, then welcome, sis. I'm so glad you are here. And if you are returning, I want to say welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for revisiting. Let's jump right into our subject today. Now, we've been talking about these 5 inner child wounds that perhaps some of us may find ourselves fitting into these categories. You have the rejection, you have the abandonment, you have the betrayal, you have the humiliation, and then you have the unjust, right? All of these are childhood wounds that in some way, shape, form, or fashion, if you experienced any sort of trauma in your childhood, you may identify with one of these. Now, trauma doesn't always mean that it was this, overly dramatic thing. Trauma can show up, especially in children, in so many different ways. I've shared many different experiences of how trauma has come up for me. For me, with the rejection wound, which is what we're going to talk about today, I literally was terrified for people to really know the real me. I was afraid that if they really knew who I was, what I had done in my life, the choices that I had made, especially when I was much younger, that they would really and in some cases that really did happen. And so some of my thought around that was not misplaced because I had experienced maybe some of that rejection energy, but things just happened to the point where I developed this mindset. How did it show up? I was afraid that if people saw me, that they wouldn't fully accept me. And so it was just safer for me to keep quiet. It was safer for me to just lay right there on the surface. And when I talk about the depth of my friendships during this phase of my life, I can see how they were shallow. I can see how I didn't really show up in those relationships because I was afraid. I was terrified. I didn't want people to really know who I was, right? And so I downplayed myself a lot. I don't say this in a vain way, but I've always been in position to receive attention from people. It's just what it has been. It's not anything that I've asked for. But because I was so daunted by rejection, I didn't want, to be too much. I didn't want to be too extra. And so I would keep quiet in most cases. And people actually started expecting that from me because I would keep quiet, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. I just didn't want to be rejected, right? And so that's what I did. I also didn't feel like I fit in. Usually when you deal with this type of wound, you find yourself not feeling like you fit in with other people because again, you're shrinking, you're hiding, you're not standing in your full power because you don't want to be rejected. You show up in these ways, things like downplaying your wins and your accomplishments, not wanting to boast about it and talk about it. Meanwhile, everybody else around you is just running their mouth and bragging and talking. In some cases, it's so unnecessary, right? But they're doing it and they're doing it with ease. And you can't even understand how you are afraid to say that you passed the certification. That was me. God forbid you say something major like you're launching a book or you're, developing this project. You were afraid to even say I finished the course. So, you avoid putting yourself in positions to be seen or even judged because you don't want to be rejected. Now, this points to a way that you have felt like you needed to protect yourself in order to not be rejected. You would find yourself being agreeable when you didn't really want to, or you would find yourself um, being okay with sometimes being invisible, right? That's how you would cope with the wound. Now, if you remain the same, you're just going to continue to silence yourself in relationships. Everybody else is going to be getting and going after everything that they want, and you will be upset, resentful, mad, angry because you didn't speak up. You didn't use your voice. You were afraid that if you did, you were going to be rejected. You didn't use your voice in your business. You said yes when you really meant no, or you said no when you really meant yes, because you're not using your voice, and you're afraid that if people see you, that they will see the real you. You would rather be quiet because you're afraid of being seen, when really what you need to do is speak up. The being seen is just, it is what it is, sis, right? So what can you do now to start to heal that? Well, you can create an emotional safe place where you are able to practice being seen. Now, I started doing this with myself, seeing myself, like really looking at myself in the mirror, dead on, like I'm looking right now in this camera, and seeing her. And listen, when I first really started doing that, I was terrified at what I saw looking back at me. I was terrified. And I had to have the courage to face her. But that is how I was able to heal this rejection wound. At this point, me and rejection, we don't go together. I don't know her. I used to know her, and I appreciate what my former self had to do to engage with her to help me get to where I am, but we don't know her anymore. No, I don't care about rejection. As a matter of fact, there is no such thing as rejection. The only person that can reject me is me. Even God has said that he would never reject me. He will never leave or forsake me. So why do I care about anything or anybody else? And that's how you have to speak to yourself. That is how you have to uh, handle yourself and believe in that. And then once you start affirming yourself, you can start allowing yourself to be seen gradually by those who are surrounding you and who love you, because they deserve to see the real you. You deserve to be free in who you are. So I hope that helps. This is the fourth wound. We have one more to go, and that is the unjust wound that we are going to talk about in this series. I hope that these breakdowns really help you to self-identify, not to embarrass you, but to really allow you to start to see where you might need to start doing the work. Listen, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you resonate with the content that is being shared on this channel, I want you to do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. I am growing this community over here. I had a former community, Elect Elevation, and it is still up, but we are gracefully elevating, honey. And so I am so grateful that you are here. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.